Early Sunday afternoon, Camille brushes past the mouth of the Mississippi.
August 1969. The Mississippi Gulf Coast. A monster is coming. Its name is Camille, and it's a Category 5 hurricane. This is one of the most powerful storms ever recorded. The National Weather Service is using words like catastrophic and issuing mandatory evacuation orders. For most sensible people, this is a signal to get in their car and drive as far inland as possible. But at the Richelieu Manor Apartments in Pass Christian, about 24 residents have a different plan. A better plan. They are throwing a party. The building was their fortress. It was a 3-story structure made of solid brick and reinforced steel. It looked tough. It felt permanent. And to the residents, it was unsinkable. They looked at the evacuation warnings as overreactions, noise for other, weaker people in smaller houses. They gathered liquor, snacks, and card games. They weren't hiding from the storm, they were selling tickets to it. And the main event was a hurricane with winds spinning at 175 miles per hour, and they had the best seats in the house. Not everyone bought into the idea. One man who lived in the building had decided that the party was a bad idea and then left. But before he went, he pleaded with his friends to come with him. He told them that by the next morning, the entire building would be gone. They laughed him out of the room. The party had to go on. And as night fell, the wind started to sound less like a whistle and more like a freight train. The lights went out. The party continued by candlelight. Then the building itself started to protest. It groaned under the force of the wind. Windows on the lower floors shattered, spraying glass into the party. Water started to flood in. But the real enemy wasn't the wind or the rain. It was the ocean itself. Camille was pushing a wall of water ahead of it, a storm surge over 24 feet high. This wasn't a flood, it was a liquid bathing ram. The surge hit the Richelieu Manor Apartments, not to knock it down, but to lift it up. The force of the water had scrubbed the 3-story building clean off of its concrete foundation, and the entire structure was thrown into a violent wave and disintegrated. The party was over, and when the sun rose the next morning, there was nothing there. Not a single brick. Not a twisted piece of steel, just a bare, wet slab of concrete. And of the 24 people at the party, only one survived. They wanted to have a party to laugh at the hurricane, but instead, the hurricane turned them into a campfire story. The post-storm silent killer. August 2021, Louisiana. Hurricane Ida has just passed. It was a monster, a Category 4 storm that tore the state apart. But now the wind is gone. The flooding is receding. And for over 1 million people, the disaster is over. Or so they think. A new enemy has arrived, and this one is silent. It's the oppressive, suffocating Louisiana heat. And with the power grid smashed, there is no air conditioning, no escape, and the heat is not just uncomfortable, it is dangerous. In this situation, a new hero emerges. It's the portable generator. The sound of it, is small engine humming, is the sound of victory. It means a working refrigerator. It means you can now charge your phone. And most importantly, it means that you can run an air conditioner and fight back against the heat. It is now a lifeline. But this lifeline comes with a user manual that most people don't read, and a byproduct that you can't see, smell, or taste. It is called carbon monoxide. It is the exhaust from the little engine, and it is a poison. In Jefferson Parish, a family had made it through Ida, and they were safe. They had 3 young children, and the house was an oven, so they did the logical thing. They fired up their generator to run the AC. All they wanted was for their kids to be comfortable. to get a good night's sleep after a terrifying ordeal. And to make sure the generator was safe from rain and theft, they placed it somewhere convenient. Maybe in the garage? Or too close to a window? The house was sealed, tight to keep the cool air in, and it also kept the carbon monoxide in. And as the family slept, the generator did its job, and the carbon monoxide did its. As the invisible gas silently filled the rooms, it works by replacing oxygen in your red blood cells, and the first symptom is often just feeling tired. When you're already exhausted after a hurricane, you don't even notice the difference. You just fall asleep. Then you fall into a coma, and then you die. There is no struggle. There is no warning. It is a quiet, efficient killer. The three children never woke up. They survived the 150-mile-per-hour winds, and they survived the flooding, but they were killed by their parents attempting to keep them comfortable. And they weren't alone. At least 4 people died from CO poisoning after Ida, and with dozens more even hospitalized. The hurricane makes all of the noise, but sometimes the deadliest threat is the silence that follows. The flagpole electrocution. September 2017, Lakeland, Florida. The hurricane is over, and for 12 solid hours, the wind screaming at over 100 miles per hour. Now, there's just a dripping sound and a thick, wet heat. The streets are an obstacle course of other people's property. A blue tarp is wrapped around a top sign, siding from a house is scattered across a lawn, and power lines hang low or lie directly on the asphalt, looking like harmless black cables. This is the morning after. This is a cleanup day. Julio Perez, at 51 years old, steps out of his front door. He takes a look around. A few shingles are missing from his roof and large branches on his lawn. All things considered, he got lucky. His house is standing. His family is safe, and he survived the storm. He sees his neighbors are already out, dragging branches and assessing the damage. It is time to be a part of the community, and it is time to help. That is when he sees the real problem. Down the street, a metal flagpole from a neighbor's yard had been completely unrooted. It is lying across the entire road, blocking anyone from getting in or out. It used to be a symbol of pride. Now it was just a long piece of metal, trash causing a problem. And a simple problem. So, Julio thinks, as he has a simple solution, he decides to go move it himself. He starts walking towards it. He's probably thinking about the best way to get leverage, where to lift from. And what he is not thinking about is electricity. Why would he? The power is out everywhere. The streetlights are dark, but power grids are complex. Just because the power is out in your house doesn't mean the lines in the street are dead. Sometimes a line can still be carrying a massive electrical charge, searching for a path to the ground. And hidden by the debris from the storm, the metal flagpole was resting directly on top of one of these live wires. As the pole itself, made of conductive aluminum, had become a giant, unsolicited extension of that wire. It was a perfect trap, sitting in plain sight. Julio reaches the pole. His hands are damp from his humid Florida air, and he takes a firm grip on the wet metal shaft. And in that exact instant, his body provides the electricity with what it has been looking for, a direct path to the ground. And thousands of volts of surges from the wire through the pole and into his body. As the process is instantaneous, there is no time to feel pain. There is no time to let go. He survived 12 hours of a Category 4 hurricane. He didn't survive 30 seconds of being a good neighbor.